we fall. Count every star in the midnight sky. Count every rose, every
Thank you for watching StarsAutoSport. My name is Chris, and in today's episode, we're going to be reviewing my new to me 2020 Triumph Bobber Black that I picked up a little while ago. Put about 600 miles on it. We're not talking about the Street Twin today. That'll be another episode. But I did sell the Husky Svark Pillin 401. Awesome bike, a lot of fun. I just wanted something with a bit more grunt and something that I think caught my eye right away once I came across one. Probably one of the best looking bikes from the factory that you can buy. That's just my personal opinion. I did some minor modifications to make it look a bit more appealing to me. You don't really need to do a whole lot to make this bike look even better than it comes from factory. So yeah, let's get into it. For starters, it's a very bumpy ride. That's one thing I have to say about the Bobber. I drive mostly in New York City. It is not a good city bike. I'm just gonna say it. I don't have a lot of riding experience, but the suspension on this bike from the factory is not, how do I say, city friendly. The rear shock has very, very little travel. It's very bumpy. The front suspension is very soft. The suspension on this bike is just a bit of a nightmare. It's one thing I would probably do next is modify the suspension. A modification I did pretty much right away was definitely the exhaust. I wanted something a bit louder. I have numerous occasions, you know, just kind of blip the throttle to scare cars away from me because they're getting a little too close. That was an essential part of making this bike look and sound better. I think this bike sounds fantastic from the factory, but I wanted something a bit louder. This bike did come with an X-pipe, no cat, when I bought it. Again, it's used. It did have the factory pipes, which I did save those, but the Motune pipes make the bike just sound absolutely insane. upgrade the front LED lights and the rears. So these are, you know, kind of a dual purpose. So they do the brake light, they do the turn signals, and your standard, you know, daytime lights. The brand is Viba, V-I-B-A. They're from France, and they bolt up like factory. I mean, they look completely stock. They kind of tuck underneath the seat. So I wanted to keep the factory fender because I think it looks fantastic. I didn't want to get a shorty fender. I wanted to keep the factory lines, everything, you know, as stock as possible, but I definitely needed all this removed. So I went with the New Rage Cycles bracket, which covers the hole, mounts the plate nice and flush. And that includes a little LED light in there too. So I love the fender. Will I get rid of it eventually one day? Maybe. But this looks really neat, super slick. Reflectors, because they're really kind of ugly, and the one in the back there kind of stuck out too, so I took that out. Really easy, you just go in there with floss and you clean it up with you know, adhesive remover. For what it is, it's a heavy bike. I mean, it's well over 500 pounds. The Street Twin has a lot of the same components and weighs, I think, 75 pounds less, give or take. Granted, that's a 900, this is 1200, but yeah, I really don't know where all the weight is on this bike. There's not a whole lot to it. I'm sure the frame is quite a bit. You do feel that weight when you're around town. Once you've picked up, you know, some momentum, you're doing 30, 40, 50 miles an hour, it's very easy to kind of flick around. But around town, it's heavy for sure. These have also been replaced. These are Motun risers, I think 1.5 inches or an inch and back. So you're not really leaning forward. You're kind of in a neutral position, which is nice. 1200 twin does produce just shy under 80 foot-pounds of torque, which you do feel right away. On paper, the specs really don't seem all that impressive, but the bike does accelerate from 0 to 60 rather quickly. Dual Brembo calipers up front, stop the bike pretty well actually. ABS front and rear, along with cruise control, are nice touches. To sum up the bobber, is this a bike I would recommend to someone else? And the answer is absolutely yes. I never get tired of looking at it. I never get tired of riding it. It looks cool. It sounds great. Yeah, the suspension's a little subpar, but that's something you can fix, I think. Suspension aside, it really is such an awesome bike. Triumph certainly had their eyes wide awake when they made this bike. On the next video, we're going to be doing the oil change on the bobber, and then most likely a review on the Street Twin. So until then, see you next time.